Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with CircWorks, and welcome to another installment of Pro vs. Con, Pro Tips for Conventions, wherein I give you little tips, some things I learned along the way on how to convention, how to table, how to booth, whatever you want to call it. What are we talking about today? Well, we've covered topics like what do you bring to a con, like your con checklist and things like that. We've talked about table setup. We've done our dry run on practicing your table setup. So now you're at the convention, you've got your setup, you've got everything going on, you're ready to go. How do you sell stuff? What are some tips and things? What do you do to make that sale, to close that deal without being so obnoxious or anything like that? So we're going to talk about some things like that today. First off, two very important things. The main thing is you want to get some rest. Make sure you're good and rested for these cons. They're long ordeals. You don't want to be there just kind of like going through the motions, like you got to project a positive vibe. And to do that, the most important thing is smile. Smile. When people are coming by, you always want to have a positive attitude. You always want to be smiling. You want to be inviting. You want to be approachable. All right? So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can, most people, you've got your tables, so you're sitting at your table or standing. I prefer to stand. We'll talk about the difference between some of the, I guess, pros and cons of different things about sitting, standing. Along with that kind of goes whether you take commissions or you choose not to. We'll talk some more about that later. But I don't know. I prefer to stand lately. Usually I have been sitting, but the last couple cons I've been standing. Just for me, it seems like you're kind of on eye level with people. And I've got my table set up. The stuff goes kind of high too. So if I was sitting, I'd kind of be under that. But we'll talk more about that later. In addition to smiling, because that's the most important thing, but there's other things. It's not just what you say or your facial expressions. Remember the line in Little Mermaid when Ursula was talking about never underestimate the, what does she say? Never underestimate the power of body language or something, or the importance of body language. So body language is really, really important. So some tips. One thing, the major thing you don't want to do, you don't want to sit here like this. You don't want to cross your arms. First of all, it looks a little like you're bored or you're uninterested. It's almost like this, like you're holding up an X, like stay away, I don't want to talk to you. You don't do this. So you always, instead, you can hold your hands out to your side or whatever like this. You can hold your hands in your back. Some people, a good thing to do is, it is a comic convention. You can do your Superman stance, kind of spread your legs out. And it just invites people a little more. Another thing you can do is you can lean in, if you're sitting. Sorry, this is probably where it would be helpful to have like a camera operator. But you're sitting, kind of lean in. It shows you're interested. If you're standing, lean in. Talk to people. Let them know you're interested. Let them know you're somebody you can talk to. They're not bothering you or whatever. And I mean, these things, some of them seem like second nature, but and it's real. A lot of this is real subliminal. You think, oh, is somebody really not going to go up to you if you're standing like this? Well, maybe not always, but these little things, they do enter our subconscious, and they do send out signals and things like that. So something to be aware of. Very important. Body language. So you got your smile on, you're paying attention to your body language, and not to the point where you're so aware that you're just like, am I standing right, am I doing this right? You want to be comfortable. So if anything else helps, whether you pick something off your table, you're holding it or whatever, you want to be comfortable. You want to be, ready to engage. You want to feel natural. You don't want to feel stiff. If it's too difficult for you to, stand like this or whatever we talked about, hands in your pockets, that could work. It still seems like you're a little bored, but again, no to this. Don't do this. So you're ready. You're doing all this stuff, ready to talk to people, but you haven't talked to people yet. How do you spark up those conversations? It's really as simple as a greeting. And I know as artists, a lot of us are introverted and shy, and I'm kind of the same way. I've always been. I guess I'm good at talking to people, especially something like a convention where everyone has like similar interests. for the most part. We're all into geeky stuff and everything, so there's a lot of common ground there. So I don't really have that much problem talking to people at conventions. But I'm not the type of guy that will spark up a conversation with, say, a stranger or something like that. But once I get talking to somebody, I'm fine with that. So, the easiest thing to do, and you don't want to you want to greet people, but you don't want to just greet everyone that comes by. It's like, hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Not that type of thing. It's not like the old Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's at the opera and he's like trying to get past a seat. It's like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. You just want to wait. You want to smile, and usually, like we said, and I'm going to keep harping on this, but if you smile, people are going to smile back. If they make eye contact, if they smile back, then you're like, hey, how's it going? Enjoying the show. Really cool costume. I like that T-shirt. Something along those lines. And you know what? Better than just saying cool costume. It helps if you ask questions that can be answered. Usually, and that will spark conversation. So instead of saying nice costume, you might want to say, oh, that's really cool. How did you make that, or whatever? And then that will spark costume. It will spark costumes? Hopefully not. It'll spark conversations. And so if you engage people, they make eye contact. Maybe they're just like, hey, I'm good, whatever, or they keep going, or whatever. They might stop at your booth. You stop at your booth, find out what they're looking at. I've got all kinds of different things. One of the things that it's good a good tip is that if you got prints and things or whatever you're selling is propped up on your booth, like I got buttons. I've got all these buttons or whatever, or different prints or whatever. Sometimes when you're behind your booth, you're not exactly sure what they're looking at because everything's facing them. So it's a good idea to get like a Post-it note and behind every single one of your little displays, put what it is so you know what they're looking at. And you can say, oh, that, if they're looking over at my comic book, you want to have sort of a pitch for pretty much anything you're selling. You want to know your products. You want to know how to, sell them, how to talk them up. So if somebody's looking at my comic book, it's like, oh, that's my creator-owned comic. It's kind of a cross between Goonies and Night of the Living Dead. And then from there I can go and talk more about it, or if there's a particular print, you want to have something to say, and probably more things to say than just one thing, because your neighbors, they're going to hear the same stuff over and over again as you're talking about your products. But make sure that that you have some good things to say. Also very important, never talk down about any of your products. All right. It's like, yeah, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or yeah. If you're not excited about your stuff, why should they be? And if you're not excited about your work, if there's a piece that you're not too happy about, don't bring it. Only bring your best stuff. Bring stuff you're proud to talk about. Bring stuff you're proud to sell to people. That people want. So, very important to be positive and just not project any negativity to y'all. And that's sometimes that's hard to do. If you're having a bad show, you just really got to get over it and make the best of it and not let it show. I had a con that I had done before, and I did really good the previous year, and at that point it just wasn't up to my expectations. So there was, and this was a mistake on my part. Somebody asked, how's it going? How's the con going? And I said, oh, it's going good. Probably not as good as last year. And immediately after I said that, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. So even if that's the truth, you don't want people to know that. You're doing good. You're doing fine. Because you don't want to get people down or feel sorry for you. And you don't want people to buy things out of pity, which they usually don't. Some people do, but definitely want to want to guilt people into buying things. You want them to buy it because they like it, because they like the artwork and everything. So just try to stay positive. People come to your table. So you've got them to your table. You're talking to them. Say if it's a group of people. You don't want to single out, like, say if there's one person that's kind of more interested in the other people. If it's a group of 3 people, you want to try to get everyone involved in the conversation and don't leave people out, because then people are just, the other people are just kind of standing there. They're not as interested, because you may convert some other people that may have not thought about, the kind of work that you're doing or whatever. Or at least when they go back with their friends, maybe they're like, oh, I want to go back to that place. And then their friend's like, yeah, I don't know. But, so try to talk to everyone and let everyone know that let them know that they're there and you're happy that they're there and checking out your stuff and everything like that. So somebody is interested. Maybe they'll buy something, but oftentimes they don't. Oftentimes, maybe it's like, oh man, I really like your stuff, but I spent all my money at this other table, or I just don't have any money, or I'll be back, or whatever like that. So, if they're going, if they're about to go, but they do seem generally interested, give them a business card or a postcard, or here, take this. That's where to find me online or whatever. Or even better, if you'd like, would you like to sign our mailing list or our email list? Very important. That's something I'm trying to build on now. So give them something as they're walking away. Whether it's you don't want to give your products away for free, but a postcard, something to hopefully remember you by. And people say they come back, and surprisingly, a lot of times I find that. Many times they do. They don't always come back, but sometimes they do. So give them something to remember who you are, because there's a lot of people at these conventions, and even if there's something I haven't done that just sparked my mind right now, maybe a little sticker with your booth on it might be a good idea if they do talk about coming back. So let's see. So other things you should do or shouldn't do. One of the major things that's a big turnoff and really not cool is like the carnival barking. Everyone has their own different style of how they're going to try to market themselves or sell things, but the guy that's kind of out in front of his table and just like, oh, check out what we got. I got this brand new comic. This is the next big thing. This guy, I'm going to be, this is going to be worth a lot of money, all this stuff like that. So you don't want to be that guy. And then again, there are ways, it's certain personalities, some people can kind of pull that off without being so annoying. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'd want to do that. But yeah, you just don't, you don't want to be so loud that you're bothering your neighbors. And so the other thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be too pushy. You don't want to be that carnival barker. And you don't want to be the used car salesman. You don't want to constantly be pushing, like you're trying to make a sale. It's a big turnoff, at least for me. So no carnival barking unless, again, personality goes a long way. There's some people that really have a lot of personality. They can do that without, it could also be worked into your whole brand. And I even had this idea, and I think I may have mentioned it on one of the previous episodes, but if you are kind of that carnival barker type personality, and again, I think you still want to wait until you've got somebody's attention. You don't want to go like grab somebody or not. I don't think anyone would go that far, but like go up to people and that type of thing. But once you do have their attention, you could be, I have this idea because superheroes kind of lend themselves to this. So here's a little idea. A lot of people sell fan art and everything like that. And unfortunately, a lot of it kind of runs into the same type of thing. So I kind of steer away from fan art. But if you are doing fan art, if there's a way to put your own spin on it. So, superheroes are like, the Amazing Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, all this kind of stuff. So it's almost like those old, like carnival, like sideshow posters. So maybe you are like a carnival. Maybe you got the ringleader, the top hat, and everything like that, and work that into your whole thing. Sometimes you can kind of make that work and kind of make that, fit your branding and everything. So that might be a kind of a cool way to go. And that's just a little advice if you want to. You guys can steal that if you want. Oh yes, equally as important as not be a carnival barker or used car salesman is do not poach potential buyers from other tables. So if somebody's over at your neighbor's table and you don't want to be like, oh, check this out, or even if it's something, even if they're talking about, say if they're like, oh yeah, I'm big into D&D and role-playing games and things like that, and you've got something at your table that fits perfectly with what they want. That's just not cool. Don't engage in, oh, check this out. If you like that, come check this out. Once they're done talking to whoever they were talking to before, if they stroll over to your table, then you can be like, oh, you like role-playing games? I got these cool D20 bow ties or whatever you got. But just don't steal people away from other tables. They're just very disrespectful and just not cool at all. So, as I mentioned before, you may want to decide what you want to do as far as if you want to stand, if you want to sit, if you want to do commissions. There's really not a right or wrong way to do it. There's just preferences. I mean, for a lot of people, commissions are their bread and butter. So, standing here and, and not being sitting down and drawing and doing your commissions could be, could be a huge mistake for you. For me, I like to stand because I like to be, again, on eye level with people. I like to engage with people. And really, I think I can sell a lot more products in the amount of time that would take for me to draw, to take a commission and sit there and actually draw at the table. Some shows, are really, really slow. At that point, maybe I will take a commission or two. But especially these busy shows, I do have original artwork out there that people can have, and somebody asks me for a commission. I will take a commission after the show if they want to work something out like that. But really, I just don't want to take time away from, interacting with people and selling things. But if you have a helper, that could be of a benefit because you could be sitting there drawing. I know artists that do that's pretty much all they do, and they still interact with people, but mainly they're doing sketching all the time, and then they've got somebody else handling all the business and things like that. So you can do that. So a couple of things you can think about whether you're sitting or standing. So if you are sitting, I'll just sit down here. And hi, I'm way down here. And that's kind of the thing. I don't want to be like this. But, these chairs that they give you, they aren't the most comfortable chairs. So might want to, bring like a cushion along or something like that to sit on because comfort's a big thing. And that goes the same for standing. If you're standing, you might want to bring like some of this anti-fatigue mat to be a little comfortable. Most of the shows that you're going to be at, conventioning, they've got carpet for people, walking on the floor and stuff. But as far as behind your table or your booth, it's usually just that cement or whatever. So maybe even bring like a swatch of carpet or something, or build together, double up. You want to be comfortable. You can just wear comfortable shoes. I usually, wear Converse, and they're not that comfortable of a shoe. They look cool, but they're not that comfortable. So bring something soft if you're going to be standing a lot. Or this is something there that I'm bringing for the first time. I bought these kind of large folding stools. So they fold, so they're easily compact and everything. And the first show I did, it was a show really close to my house, and see, my table setup comes about this high. So even if I'm in a chair, my stuff, you're not gonna see me. So I need something to boost myself up. So I actually brought I've got some bar stools, and they're these big wrought iron things. And just because it was a close show, I just brought one, and it worked really good because I could be sitting like this and just pop up like this real quick, and you can tell if I'm standing or sitting or whatever. This one's not quite as big. I was thinking I might try to extend it, but it's still bigger and easier to pop off of than a chair. So I'm like this, you can stand like that. Whereas if you're in a chair, you usually have to kind of push it back and get up like that. So something that I'm definitely going to bring. If you are sitting, if you are taking commissions and things like that, really, don't just be so involved in your work that you don't see what's going on. And again, that's where a helper comes through. But if you're sitting down, just hunkered down and you're drawing, you're missing everything, and you're missing potential, customers and buyers and things like that. So always look up, always pay attention to what's going on around you. So I think that pretty much sums up most of the things I had to talk about. Again, there's no one perfect way to do this. There's a lot of people that do it way better than me. So if you're one of those people that does it way better than me, tell me what you do. I'd like to know, because I'm always looking to learn how to do things better. But hopefully some of these things that I've shared are beneficial and are going to help you along on your cons, whether it's your first time or even hopefully if you've done doing these for a while, even maybe then some of these techniques maybe you haven't tried out. But let me know what you think. Let me know some of the techniques you use, just selling your artwork and what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If anything I've said, you are definitely adamantly like, that's not how I do it. Let me know. I'm always willing to try out new things. So thanks for checking out this video, and I've got some more coming. Now I know we didn't touch much on actual like pricing and things like that as far as selling your work. We'll talk about that on a future episode, maybe next time, we'll see. But thanks for following. If you like these videos, you want to see more of them, give them the thumbs up. Leave a comment. Again, if you have any questions, anything like that, anything I can help you out with, or anything advice you'd like to give me, please do. Leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. And until then, I'll be back with another episode of Pro versus Con, pro tips for conventions, and that is all.